Let's get to the Tennessee 3 expulsion vote that happened or is currently happening, I think, in the 113th General Assembly on the 21st legislative day in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay? Y'all just sent a straight up doo-doo ass, megaphonics ass, megapoopix ass fucking link, and it wasn't him. And even he called it out. That's how you know. Mega doo-doo ass link, dude. It's crazy. Explain what's happening in Tennessee because I keep seeing TikToks. Students in Nashville, Tennessee are protesting for gun control in the aftermath of the mass shooting that took place at Covenant School. 3 lawmakers also aligned with the protesters, took up megaphones and held up the state assembly hearings. Now, those 3 representatives, those 3 legislators are being expelled for playing a role in said protest, and the Republicans in the Tennessee State Assembly, or the Nashville, Tennessee State Assembly, in the House of Representatives, are claiming that this is just like January 6th. Why? Because Republicans love a good victimhood narrative. That's right. That's basically what's going on. They have been officially expelled in what I consider to be a pretty undemocratic move. In the process, they've said a bunch of like psychotic things the Republicans have, like telling a bunch of school children, which guns would you rather be shot by? You know, debate lording a bunch of kids on which gun would be their preference to be shot by. Or even stating that they are not going to do anything and there is nothing you can do about it. That's right. One Republican straight up said, we're not going to fix it. Anyway, watch Gideon's new video. Am I featured in it or something? I'll take a look at it later. Okay, let's watch.
All right, we are voting on House Resolution 65. All those in favor, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. No. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Aye, 72, 25 nays.
Having received the concurrence of 2/3 of the members to which the House is entitled under Constitution of the State of Tennessee, House Resolution 65 is hereby adopted without objection and motion to reconsider is tabled.
All right, you are watching live right now. The vote has just been taken. The first of 3 that were expected throughout the day today. Representative Justin Jones representing Nashville. House Resolution 65 passing. He is now considered expelled from the House in a vote of 72 to 25. That is the 2/3 threshold that was needed in order to expel him officially from the House. Representative Jones now taking to his fellow Democratic colleagues there, hugging, embracing him. You see right before the vote was taken, other members of his House, other members of his party gathering around him there at the well, showing their support and their solidarity. It was just 1 week ago today, last Thursday, that Representative Jones and two other members of the House went to that same well that he just spoke at there at the podium at the front of the House chambers, protesting stricter gun control legislation. Representative Jones had an opportunity this afternoon to defend himself as well. You could see there in the gallery as well. These are protesters that have been there, many of them supporting Representative Jones and the other 2 protesters. They have been there since early this morning, lining out all around the state capitol. so they could be there and have their place in the gallery when this historic moment happens.
When they're expelled, county and city level officials will select delegates to serve in the vacant House seats until the next regularly scheduled election in August 2024. So basically, they said, fuck the will of the people. We have the majority. We can expel you. We can kick you out and then replace you and put someone else in your stead. That is what's going on. Another thing that happened that was, again, a big fuck you to democracy at the state legislature level was in North Carolina, like we talked about yesterday. Of course, it's not very democratic. These motherfuckers are pretty much fascist, dude. That's it. Okay? That's it. Here, let's go directly to Tennessee State Representative, I guess former Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones, one of the Dems that the GOP is trying to expel from the state legislature for protesting gun violence, calls out his colleagues on the floor. Oh, I forgot. Tennessee literally turned a blind eye to a child molester who was also in the House of Representatives in the Tennessee State House of Representatives. There was a Tennessee representative in the Tennessee House of Representatives, the State House of Representatives, that actually, I think, misappropriated funds for his cousin mistress. That was awesome. Like, it's cousin fucking and adultery at the same time. There's a lot that happens in Tennessee where people turn a blind eye to.
Let's talk about expulsion. For years, one of your colleagues who was an admitted child molester sat in this chamber. No expulsion. One member sits in this chamber who was found guilty of domestic violence. No expulsion. We had a former speaker sit in this chamber who is now under federal investigation. No expulsion. We have a member still under federal investigation. No expulsion. We had a member pee in another member's chair in this chamber. No expulsion. In fact, they're in leadership, but in the governor's administration. And so once again, what you're saying to us, since you're trying to put us on trial, I'll say what you're really putting on trial is the state of Tennessee. What you're really showing for the world is holding up a mirror to a state that is going back to some dark roots. A state in which the Ku Klux Klan was founded is now attempting another power grab by silencing the two youngest Black representatives and one of the only women, Democratic women in this body. That's what this is about. Let us be real today.
Garrett.
Sorry, chat.
Representative Garrett.
And do you understand to speak from the well as you are speaking today, you were able to speak because Speaker Sexton recognized you in the well to be able to speak?
Representative Jones.
Thank you. I'm able to speak because the people of District 52 sent me here to speak. Speaker Sexton is not my constituent. Speaker Sexton is not a king. Speaker Sexton is not God, though he may want to be. He is my colleague. And so the people of District 52 sent me here to speak. And it's them who I ask for permission if I can speak and represent them.
Representative Garrett.
here to fight for our constituents. We came here to lift up the issues of people who are suffering. 6 people died in Nashville at the Covenant School. 3 were 9 years old. But instead of focusing on that, Representative Jones, Representative Johnson, and myself are being expelled from the State House because we said we cannot do business as usual. No one should be wanting to operate as though this is not happening, as though we are not living in a gun violence epidemic in the state of Tennessee. And the solutions that are being offered is actually to reduce the First Amendment rights of people who speak up on behalf of their constituency.
What happens if they reelect him? Brother, they reelect him in 2024. So for that duration, even if they reelect them, they just basically put someone else that they elect themselves to that position. It is unimaginable, dude. The special election has to be held within 120 days. I think I thought, no. Are you sure about that? I thought that they just appoint someone if they want to the seat.
Day for Tennessee, because it will signal to the nation that there is no democracy in this state. It will signal to the nation that if it can happen here in Tennessee, it's coming to your state next. And that is why the nation is watching us, what we do here. My prayer to you is that even if you expel me, that you still act to address the crisis of mass shootings. Because if I'm expelled from here, I'll be back out there with the people every week demanding that you act. If you expel me,
If there's a vacancy in the Tennessee General Assembly, there's 2 ways a vacancy can be filled. When 12 months or more remain before the next general election, that is what's going on here. Special election must be held within the allowable time frame set by law. Okay. If fewer than 12 months remain before the next general election, members of the legislative body in the county where the vacancy occurred must vote on a replacement. Okay. So because hold on. The next election is in 2024. Is it 12 months out? August 2024. Oh my God. Okay. Because they replaced them now, or because they expelled them now, there has to be a special election. It is more than 12 months. So, yes, they have to hold a special election. And I think that they can still run in it and get reelected. The second Tennessee vote didn't pass. Representative Gloria Johnson will stay. Here it is.
Has everybody voted? Does anybody wish to change their vote? Mr. Clark, take the vote.
Aye 65, 30 nays.
House Resolution 64 fails. Has everybody voted?
As far as I know, it failed because she did nothing but stand in the well with the others, no yelling or anything. Man, it doesn't fucking matter. She was almost expelled as well by 1 fucking vote. She's also a white lady. There's 2 black dudes and 1 white lady, so there's that too.
Voted? Is anybody?
I'm sure that plays a role. Bro, they don't care. Stop trying to apply reasoning to these fucks. Exactly. There's no chat. Don't even fucking take their bullshit. Like, don't even take their fucking bullshit. It's just like, there's no, when they say, oh, this is the reason or whatever, understand that, no, that's not the fucking reason. Okay. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. I'm sure we'll see what happens with the expulsion with the other black representative as well. Because there's one last one. dude, state representatives, this is probably one of my biggest locks of the past couple of years now. I've been telling you about this for a while now. But the Republican Party decided, because these districts are so fucking gerrymandered, and because they have like complete dominance over state representatives and like the state legislature.
God in God's temple, for in the day of trouble, God will keep me safe in God's dwelling. God will hide me in the shelter of God's sacred tent and set me high upon a rock. Then my head will be exalted. Above the enemies who surround me at his sacred tent, I'll sacrifice. With shouts of joy and thanksgiving, I'll sing. And
anyway, look, what I'm saying is, look, one of my biggest locks of this decade. One of my biggest locks of this fucking decade is that Republicans have basically sidestepped. They completely neutered, through obstructionist policies, they completely neutered the legislative body. They have nothing. They have no power other than like basically bipartisan support for increasing military discretionary spending. Other than that, you can get like some tax cuts done and shit like that, but never anything that's like progressive, usually. Even through budget reconciliation, the Democrats can barely get their shit together to like push for any kind of progressive legislation. And they sidestepped that. They engaged in court packing over the course of the past 35 years, 40 years. And now they basically will engage in a states' rights argument where they will utilize the state legislatures to do whatever their bidding is, no matter what the democratic process has told them to do or not to fucking do. They push for the most reactionary agendas through the state legislature. We've seen it with the trans bills that are passing all around. And then they will elevate it to the courts, because that's then at that point, the judiciary is the only mechanism to basically stop it, right? And the entire courts are stacked to the brim from the state level to the federal level, all the way up to the Supreme Court, with a fuckload of reactionary judges, all of which are, Federalist Society judges or right-wing judges in general. So now there's no means of pushing back against that at all. I've been telling you guys this for a long-ass fucking time, and they're basically doing it. Now that they have a super majority on the Supreme Court, they're pushing for this agenda harder and very openly and very brazenly. And I am afraid that there's not really anything you can do against this. The Supreme Court is basically bulletproof. Chief Justice John Roberts' fucking attitudes are irrelevant to, you know what I mean? There's really nothing. There's nothing there. As far as legal avenues, you don't have any kind of recourse.
Continue to show up because this issue is too important. I talked to too many students and mothers in tears this week who said, thank you for doing something. And so if you expel me, I recognize that it's not.
Bro, this guy's still saying after Tetris Hassel, watch, why did the Soviet Union fall? It's like, bro, we've moved on from Tetris.
Not just about expelling me, but it's about expelling the people, which your action will do the exact opposite. It will galvanize them to see what is happening in this state requires sustained action.
Thank you, B. Bonjuk.
And so I hope that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, regardless of what you decide to do to me.
Thank you, B. Bonjuk, for gifting 5 Get the Subs at the top of the hour, 26 minutes in, where I forgot to run a 3-minute ad break, which I'm running right now. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Sorry, I'm a little all over.
This is not about me, but this is about those young people who are asking us to use our position and to uphold our oath, to protest and dissent from any action or legislation that is injurious to the people.
Here the Tennessee 3 arrive as they face expulsion for standing with gun safety activists in the wake of the Nashville shooting.
You are
Here's a
wanted to
Republican
make
state
sure you had
representative asking Representative Justin Jones what he means by the chant, no justice, no peace.
an opportunity to defend your actions. One of the questions that keeps coming back to my mind that I hope maybe you can answer is when you say no action, no peace, what do you mean? What does Representative Jones mean by no peace? Thank you.
Representative Jones.
Thank you. I would invite my colleague from Putnam County to join any protest where that is a very familiar chant that usually goes, no justice, no peace. And I believe the roots of it lie in something that Martin Luther King stated, that true peace is not merely the absence of tension, but it is the presence of justice. That's what I was saying, is that until we act, there will be no peace in our communities. In addition, I would like to read some context about that chant that comes from Jeremiah 6:14. I'll read the New Living Translation. It says, they offer superficial treatments for my people's mortal wound. They give assurances of peace where there is no peace. I'll go to the New International Version. They dress the wound of my people as though it was not serious. Peace, 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 they say, where there is no peace. That's what the chant means, is that we have no peace. And that until we act, there will be no peace for the thousands of children who came here demanding that we act, who are afraid that if they're in school, they will be gunned down because you have passed laws to make it easier to get a gun than it is to get health care in this state. You've passed laws that make it easier to get a gun than it is to vote in this state. And so that there will be no peace in Tennessee until we act on this proliferation of weapons of war in our community. That is the peace I was talking about. That is what I was saying. Representative.
He's great.
And
Upholding our Constitution. We are protecting the integrity of this body. Let's vote to expel him. That will send the case back to the voters in Davidson County. And if after looking at his conduct, they find he should come back, we will welcome him as a representative.
Representative Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I didn't hear a question, but while my colleague's statement was eloquent, what he was essentially saying was that Justin is an uppity Negro. How dare he point at the speaker and call a lie a lie? How dare he act like he's your equal? How dare he?
I mean, that's true. They did do that.
Come before this body and not bow down. That's what Representative Bulso was saying, and that's what he told me on the elevator 2 days ago when he tried to incite violence against me and got in my face and said, "You are a damn disgrace." And I said, "Representative Bulso, hold on, let me pull up my phone. Can you say that again?" And he cowered and chose not to repeat it because he did not want the world to see what a disgrace he is for Williamson County voters.
Also, this guy's gonna fucking win by like insane margins. Like it's very obvious that like I mean, this is just like, again, symbolic. It's to tell you know, this dude that he is uppity and that he should know his fucking place. But ultimately, I mean, he is becoming a political martyr and will come back way, way fucking stronger. You know what I mean? He's not wrong. When he says that, this will absolutely fucking backfire. I mean, look at these like Orville Redenbacher ass motherfuckers in suits, like that are just like, I do declare now. How dare he join the protesters? I say. There was a time when Tennessee was a much quieter place. Back when we were allowed to have our plantations. Yeah, it's sweet tea accent. Fucking foghorn, leghorn, Colonel Sanders, dude.
the comment you made about how many times my voice has been silenced as long as I've been here. Raising my hand for 45 minutes on the floor and not being called on. I was actually told by the speaker that was in retaliation for some other thing he thought was incorrect that I did. And when I was the lone vote against a Republican speaker, I was moved to a closet-sized office and had to stay there for a year. It was during COVID. There was no room to social distance. I couldn't have someone in my office, couldn't close the door, had no work table for the people who came up from my district. You're not silencing my voice. You're silencing the voice of 70,000 Tennesseans that sent me here, that care deeply about gun violence and Medicaid expansion and public schools. And we are continually silenced on the floor on those issues and more.
Bro, I hate these motherfuckers so much.
And it did. This is the first of three. Right now, expulsion.
They're so petty on top of everything else. Oh, 100%. They're the pettiest, dude. They're the pettiest motherfuckers out there. They cannot gripe with the fact that marginalized communities now have representatives. They have never given up. Every time they are forced to concede by way of legislation, they hold that fucking grudge. And they try to manifest that anger or deploy that anger through any facet that they can. Okay? That's it.
And you could hear the protest from the crowd as well.
They aren't the pettiest. All of politics is tit for tat. Both sides do that. You're so fucking brilliant, dude. Thank you for giving us your centrist analysis on the situation, like as though the Democrats are even remotely as petty. I wish they were. I wish they were fucking fighters. I talk about it all the time. Nobody thinks you're smart. Everyone thinks you're a fucking idiot for saying that. You understand that, right? Good luck finding an equivalent where in a fucking California state House of Representatives, they expelled fucking Republican congresspersons for like what purpose too? God damn it, dude. Just like dudes with zero fucking personality and even less brain cells think that like as long as they say I'm a centrist and I believe in moderation, they think that that is like the most incredible personality trait that they can have. Like, it's not a substitute. So angry, lol. Oh, I owned you. I'm so angry. Am I angry? Do I sound like I'm angry to you? Do you think this is anger? I'm just disappointed in how fucking baboon-like your brain is, okay? You're chirping like a fucking lizard-brained idiot. Like, there's no... Everybody here knows how fucking stupid you are. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Disappointed that you think, as a 3-month subscriber, that you actually would, come in here and think that you're dropping some fucking brilliant truths that no one ever thought about beforehand. The you mad troll face emoji.
Throughout the day, you could tell that people outside of the House chambers were listening to the proceedings inside, and you could sometimes hear some of their protests and their comments from outside the chambers. If you're just tuning in right now, we've been following this live from the House floor, and officially that first expulsion vote has happened, and in a vote of 72 to 25, Representative Justin Jones is now officially expelled from the House of Representatives there in the General Assembly. That is the 2/3 threshold that is needed in order for his fellow colleagues to essentially remove him from his position. And you can see now Jones going over to the media, giving some interviews as well. Let's listen in for just a moment.
Clerk, read the resolution.
All right, so at this point, this was the first of three. We are expecting the two other representatives to also have an opportunity to defend themselves. That's Representative Gloria Johnson, who represents the Knoxville area in the House, and also Representative Justin Pearson, who represents Memphis. Now, it is all three of these that together last week led that procession, led that protest there in the House chambers, using a megaphone, interrupting the session. And it is that is what was considered breaking the rules of decorum that then led to these resolutions today, essentially now removing one of the three representatives from his post. Keep in mind a little detail on these resolutions. All three state that the lawmakers shouted, pounded on the podium, led chants with citizens in the gallery, and generally engaged in disorderly and disruptive content, including refusing to leave the well, sitting on the podium, and utilizing a sign displaying a political message. That was what was stated in the resolution that got us to this point today and this House vote that we just witnessed. And that 2/3 threat.
I hate when my politicians are being political, dude. Yeah, they should have just fucking sat back and told the little kids that were demanding gun control which gun they would rather be shot with, as one representative did. When you do that, when you fucking debate lord the children, like the debate pervert you are, you're fine. When you tell the media, we're not going to fix it, you're fine. It's when you actually, have any kind of real conviction or want to express the desires of your constituents, that's when you're not fine.
Threshold is met, so Representative Jones essentially taking his bag there. You could see meeting with his fellow representative there, who is also expected to defend herself. I want to go.
Members of the Republican-led Tennessee House are set to...
This is awesome. Happening now. Tennessee House Republicans vote to advance bill to allow teachers to carry guns in schools a week after a mass shooting in Nashville. This is a reaction from the mothers, teachers, and advocates gathered to oppose this reckless legislation. Like, they're doing the, oh, we need more guns, not less meme. Let's arm the teachers, brother. Hell yeah, yee. This country is such a fucking joke, dude. I hate this fucking nation so much.
Would be dead because of your attitudes.
Teacher shortage is going to get worse. You know any teachers? They don't get paid to you die. You met these people, they shouldn't have guns. Former teacher, I would never carry a gun to school. And I know how to use a gun and I own it. I would never carry a gun in front of my students. I loved my students. I would die for them, but I would not shoot them. I am so glad I'm not a Tennessee educator. Be here tomorrow, 8 a.m.
There are children alive today that would be dead because of your attitudes.
Teacher shortage is going to get worse.
Arming teachers is such an insane concept. Yeah. It was tested after the Parkland shooting. And at the time, everyone thought the Pioneer program, which is what they're pushing for in Tennessee now, was absolutely unimaginably insane. And yet now it's becoming more commonplace. Because the United States of America is a fucking insane nation. It's not a real country. It's just a bunch of corporations in a fucking trench coat. And one of those corporations is gun manufacturers. That's it. Absolute insanity.
To vote on whether to remove 3 Democrats from office for leading a protest over gun laws following the deadly Nashville school shooting. Last week, Democratic reps Justin Jones, Justin Pierce.
The irony is that people are telling me that teachers were actually armed at Covenant. Yeah. In a lot of schools, we already have school resource officers, cops, security, armed security. Link perverts, exactly.
Now we must.
Let's hear what Charlie Kirk has to say about the Second Amendment.
Now we must also be real. We must be honest with the population. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. Wow. And that is part of liberty. Wow. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. Wow. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. Right. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, yes, by having more armed guards in front of schools.
There's no better representation that we are devolving as a society than seeing reactionary arguments get dumber and dumber over the course of the years that I've been alive and have been an active political commentator online. This is the most easily dismissible argument. The most effective counter to it is, okay, let's regulate guns in the same way that we regulate vehicles. Driver's licenses are required for all vehicles. They have greatly reduced vehicular accidents. Let's do that for guns. He would never agree to that. That's number one. Number two, transportation with vehicles serves a profoundly important purpose. Guns do not carry that level of importance. They do not, no matter which way you cut it. You can't light your cigarette with a gun, even though Charlie Kirk should try and do that, in my opinion. You can't ride your gun to work, even though, a lot of these people, these homosexuals, love riding their guns. Okay? They should just try and do it. Light your cigarette with a gun. Have fun. See where that takes you. If you love guns so much, light your cigarette with a gun. Test it out. Must carry insurance. All guns need to be registered in a national database and re-registered every year. Yeah. None of these things qualify because they utilize the Second Amendment. Also, in many of these mass shootings, there are armed security guards. There are armed police officers. There are armed security guards. At Uvalde, cops were on scene immediately. And even in the case of the Covenant school shooting, cops arrived on scene. It took 14 minutes. They went in immediately. And unlike the Uvalde sacks of shit, they actually did what they were supposed to. They rushed the shooter and shot him. And even when they did the right thing, they did the absolute best thing that they could have done in that circumstance. 6 people, which included 3 children, 9 years old, 6 people died. Now, cops did the right thing. It's time for the legislators to do the right thing. When we talk about gun control, that's what we are talking about. We're talking about reducing the number of possible mass shootings by putting some kind of safety mechanism in the process. Actual gun control is that. It's to make it a little bit more difficult to own a gun. Not saying you can't own a gun whatsoever, but make it more difficult so that people who are suicidal can't have access to weapons and then use them to kill themselves. If you care about mass shootings, that's one issue. But if you care about gun deaths, 54% of gun deaths are gun suicides. Men have an overwhelmingly higher rate of suicide because more often than not, they use guns. Bro, why are you saying the same point over and over again? Because unfortunately, Americans are very stupid. And I've been not only repeating the same talking points on this broadcast or this past week or this past month, I've been repeating these same talking points for the past decade. That's the saddest part. And it seems as though society has only devolved over the past decade that I've been saying the same exact shit.
We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. So then how do you reduce? Very simple. People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at baseball games? Because we have armed guards outside of baseball games. That's why. How do we stop all the shootings at airports? We have armed guards outside of airports. How do we stop all the shootings at banks? We have armed guards outside of banks. How do we stop all the shootings at gun shows? Notice there's not a lot of mass shootings at gun shows. There's all these guns. Because everyone's armed.
Nothing he's saying is correct. Like, there have been shootings in pretty much every single place that he just mentioned. What the fuck is he saying? Almost all of those places are gun-free zones. And there have been shootings in all of those places regardless. Also, here's where he's not wrong. Some gun deaths will always happen if there are guns. That part is not incorrect. That part is correct. Except a comparable statistic to look at is Switzerland, a nation that has a higher rate of gun ownership than other nations surrounding it. Switzerland's rate of gun violence is literally nowhere near the United States of America. So incredibly fucking stupid.
Pearson and Gloria Johnson led chants and held signs, even a bullhorn, urging their Republican colleagues to pass stricter gun laws after 3 children and 3 staffers were killed by a shooter at that school. ABC's Jay O'Brien is following this closely. Jay, these 3 have already lost their ID access to the state capitol. They've been stripped of their committee assignments. Walk us through what happened here and where we stand.
Yeah, and so what happened?
I'm not going to lie. This is an incredibly unimaginable, undemocratic act. And the media is literally not covering it in the way that they're supposed to. They keep making it seem like, yeah, no, there is credence to like what the Republicans were saying with respect to this expulsion. I don't know what the fuck, like, what's the takeaway from this? It's not like liberal media for the most part is like pro-gun. They're not. It's actually surprising.
What happens is it starts last week, as you said, that video that you just played. These 3 members, these 3 Democrats in the Tennessee House of Representatives, they go up to the well of the House. They have a bullhorn, and there's an ongoing protest in the Tennessee Capitol after that tragic Nashville shooting. The protest is for gun safety legislation and the like. And these 3 members engage as part of that protest on the floor of the Tennessee House. Now, what they're accused of doing, I'll show you exactly. Here is the resolution to expel one of them, Gloria Johnson. My copy's highlighted here, but it's the exact same resolution for Justin Pearson and Justin Jones, the other 2 lawmakers here who the Tennessee House will vote to expel at some point today, it's expected. Could be moments from now even. And they're accused of, and I'll quote directly, shouting, pounding on the podium, leading chants with citizens in the gallery, and generally engaged in disorderly and disruptive conduct. That is the resolution that Republicans in the Tennessee House are bringing to a vote today to expel these 3 Democrats, saying that they were disorderly, that they disrupted decorum while engaging in this protest. I can tell you Democrats in the Tennessee House say that they were engaging, and they took a phrase from John Lewis here, in good trouble. And they are preparing to try to fight this resolution in a special election that would come if these 3 members are expelled.
And it's an interesting element, Jay, because they're admitting themselves that they did break the rules, and they know that they did, but they're still saying, for the Republican side of things, there's a lot of hypocrisy here.
And it's rare to expel someone in the Tennessee House. And that's one of the things that Democrats are leveling at Republicans, that according to the local reporting that we're reading in places like the Tennessean, et cetera.
Yeah, liberal media will bring about the new age fascist dystopia with welcoming arms. They'll just be like, yeah, they were actually violating decorum. Like, let's talk about the stakes here, man. No? You don't think that's relevant? You don't think that it's relevant that there's like actual protests that are ongoing on an issue that is like very important, that the Tennessee state representatives are refusing to do anything about? And actually the only thing that they're doing is basically fucking is basically fucking arm teachers more. Like, that's their solution. You think that there is, you think that that's not pertinent, important to mention? Might as well just have one of the fucking Tennessee state Republicans come up and talk about how they violated decorum themselves, instead of having one of you fucking goons in suits say it. Fuck the rules. What do you mean, what about the rules? You know, what the fuck? Who cares about the rules? This is not editorializing. You should mention the actual stakes.
Who's doing excellent work on this, that they've only expelled 2 members of the Tennessee House of Representatives since the 1800s, and those were after investigations, and they were bipartisan votes. So Democrats in the Tennessee House are accusing Republicans of essentially...
Go ahead. Talk about what they said. I know they didn't expel the white woman who was protesting right next to Jones. I know, I saw. I know. So, I mean, she's a good person too, as far as I've seen, for the record. But, you know, she also has certain qualities that I think helped at least some Tennessee Republicans not want to vote for her. They asked her directly why. She said it's because of race, obviously. Yeah. She outright said it was because she's white when she left after the vote. Yeah, I know. It is. And there you go. She's a good person.
Yes, and we're going to fight hard to get him back. I will answer your question. It might have to do with the color of our skin.
Please tell us more.
Yes, and we're going to fight hard to get him back. I will answer your question. It might have to do with the color of our skin.
Please tell us more.
Yes, and we're going to fight.
There you go. Who the fuck boos that? White people. White people hate nothing more than even the prospect of other white people being called racist. Because they fear, perhaps justifiably, that they themselves might be called racist by the same people, that they themselves might come across as racist. So there's this like AOE damage. Whenever you're in the presence of a white person that's not like an anti-racist, you know, they will get very, very touchy about that. Oh, now here we go. See? Look. Look, he did it. He did it immediately. Immediately. He got banned, but I caught him before he did it. He did the thing. It's so easy. Call an actually racist circumstance racist, and you will have a bunch of people who literally had nothing to do with the issue at all immediately chime in. Now, this person might actually be a nice person otherwise, okay? That person might actually be like a totally normal person, okay? But he can't not help. He can't not say something. He can't. He will not stop himself. He has to chime in and be like, dude, you're fucking unhelpful, brother. What does that mean? You want to unpack this? You want to unpack this conversation? What's the argument that, like, when I talk about white fragility, for example, that you have to come in and say, dude, that's really fucked up that you're mentioning white fragility. It's unhelpful because it's going to make me racist? Like, is that what you're saying? Does it make you feel like you want to be racist when I talk about white fragility by demonstrating white fragility so perfectly? What is that? You want to engage in white solidarity real quick? What happened in that circumstance is undeniably racist. Someone asked me why people were booing her. It's because she said the correct thing and people took it seriously. You became an example of the very thing that we saw in that video when I talked about the fragility that certain white people feel when they are in proximity of someone being correctly called out for their racism. You also ended up otherizing the cause by saying your cause. If you understand my cause, if you recognize my cause to be black emancipation, does that mean you are standing in opposition to that? You don't feel uncomfortable presenting it in a way where you are literally against it? What do you mean your cause? Should it not be your cause as well? These are things that you can check yourself on in order to become a better person in the future. Okay? Understand that. You might not be a racist person. You might not even recognize that you have certain biases. We all have them. Okay? We all have these biases that we internalize. We don't even recognize it. This should be your moment of recognition so you no longer behave this way, so you no longer act out this way. You get it? Anyway. Not here anymore? Yeah, he got banned and immediately ran away. No, I unbanned him. And it's this idea that we have to get on our knees and beg the oh so superior whites to please help us with our cause instead of them not being so fucking fragile when we correctly point out these issues. Yeah. Bullshit. That's why I always say as a white person that like when fucking some random like young black Zoomer is like chirping in a way that is like unimaginably off base. Okay? Or even when people fucking call me racist too, which happens quite frequently, I don't care. I know what my perspective is. I've been advocating for social justice on these particular issues since before they even fucking developed object permanence. I don't give a shit. I'm not doing this so you like me. I'm doing this because I think it's right. And you should remember that as well. You do not become anti-racist because you want black people to think you're cool and like you. Become anti-racist because that's the right thing to do. So when in certain circumstances, when a 35-year-old Sephora employee that's still running a fucking Barb Stan account calls you a racist because of a tweet you never actually fucking posted 3 years ago as they were engaging in defending the national white supremacist leader, Tucker Carlson, because Queen Barb, Nicki Minaj, defended Tucker Carlson. And then those motherfuckers still hold on to that grief and consider me a white supremacist racist every time I pop off on the fucking timeline. I don't care. Okay? I don't. You don't do it so the Barbs will like you or that black Twitter will say, oh man, that's a funny white boy. You do it because it's the right thing to do. Don't forget when Gideon did it. Well, Gideon's a great example of this because I think like, I mean, I don't know what he did in his latest video, but like, I think that I have a good relationship with Gideon now, even though he originally said or thought or even implied that I was like, being patronizing to him. People think you're a racist? What? It's just delusional people. Did you see the NATO war plans? Wait, what the fuck? Classified documents detailing secret American NATO plans have appeared on Twitter and Telegram. Wait, what? I don't believe it. I'll have to assess this. I saw them and looked legit. Chad is like, bro, trust me. I've seen secret transatlantic council NATO plans like a million times, dog. Trust me. Like, this one was pretty legit. Anyway, we'll take a look at this in a little bit. Dog, I follow every OSINT account, okay? Trust me, bro.
weaponizing this expulsion process to kick these 3 Democrats out because they didn't like the protest that they engaged in. Republicans, again, returning to that argument that I just laid out for you, that these members were disorderly and deserve to be kicked out. And again, that vote expected to happen at some point today. It could be moments from now, Diane.
So, Jay, what have you been seeing on Capitol Hill in terms of the broader tensions between parties on gun control? And is Washington weighing in on what's happening in Tennessee right now?
Well, it's interesting. All politics is local, right? So you're seeing something in Tennessee organic from the Nashville shooting, but it also ripples all the way to Capitol Hill. And we saw, even after the Nashville shooting, tensions rise on Capitol Hill as well. You'll remember that interaction between Jamal Bowman, Democrat of New York, and Thomas Massie, Republican of Kentucky. I'll walk you through it because it was a little bit ago. So Jamal Bowman goes out near and there's the video of it, near the door to the floor of the House of Representatives, starts telling reporters to press Republicans on gun issues. Thomas Massie comes out and they start to have this very, and you can see, animated debate.
Dude, Jamal Bowman could beat his fucking ass cheeks, by the way. He's pretty fucking jacked. Like, not my favorite. Literally have his, like, phone number. That's how fucking excited I was at his run originally. Definitely has fallen from grace, at least in my opinion, with respect to his, like, personal politics and what he advocates for. Having said that, though, beat the fucking ass cheeks off of these motherfuckers.
Debate about guns right there in the door behind Thomas Massie, that brown door. That's the floor of the House of Representatives. So tension even flaring there as well, Diane. But in terms of policy and in terms of action, one of the things we've seen from Republicans in the House is that they don't show a willingness to engage on guns issues. Democrats are repeatedly calling for Republicans to bring some kind of issue on guns to the floor, but Republicans saying that that is not something they're interested in doing, and they're accusing Democrats of turning this into a political issue, Diane.
All right, Jay O'Brien, thanks for that.
I can't believe that they would turn our political inaction in the face of gun violence into a political issue. It's so fucked up. Like, dude, I love that. I fucking love that. I love when people in Congress are literally fucking stating that, like, doing congressional work is a political issue. Like, demanding Congress to do politics is political, and we can't have that. Yeah, look at him, look at him, look at him. He's fucking jacked. I know. Perfect form, too. It's pretty crazy. I can't do that.
Let's go.
I mean, these guys are such fucking freaks. They literally said you made this House session political, dude. They literally said you made this House session political. It's like, bro, we're doing politics. Like, your job description says politician. Do you understand? You fucking idiot. Like, your job is literally doing politics. Like, we often joke about how when the people say, like, man, they sure made, I hate that, like, you know, games are so political nowadays, like unlike video games such as Call of Duty, you know? Or keep your politics out of my video games. But I never thought I would see the day when they're saying, keep your politics out of my house of politics. I hate that you are demanding, as a politician, I do politics at the place that I do politics. It's like asking for fucking fries with a side of as a side with your Big Mac at McDonald's, and then they go, "Sir, this is a McDonald's. We don't sell Big Macs here, and we certainly don't sell French fries. What are you thinking?" That's what you're supposed to do.
Here in this Tennessee General Assembly, that's why you're standing there.
This guy's feelings were hurt. So there's no bigger crime that especially a black politician could ever engage in other than offend the sensibilities and the feelings of a white politician. Okay? A white Southern Republican politician. My last name is Farmer, sir. I come from a long line of farmers. I do declare, I say at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute outbreak. And if you no longer want to see those ads, you might not take politics out of this body, but you might be able to take the top of the hour ad break out of your viewership by subscribing for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. I, Andrew Farmer, son of Jonathan Jebediah Farmer, do declare that you can also avoid those ads if you're lucky by getting gifted a sub. Ting, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. It's a 3-minute outbreak now.
Here in this Tennessee General Assembly, that's why you're standing there, because of that temper tantrum that day, for that yearning to have attention. That's what you wanted. Well, you're getting it now. So I just advise you, if you want to conduct business in this house, file a bill. Be recognized, stand there and present it, and pass it. All you got to do is pass the bill.
Representative Pearson.
Now, you all heard that. How many of you would want to be spoken to that way? How many of you would want to be spoken to that way?
Like they're kids, like they're children.
We're not talking about...
Bro, I know that like the most common tactic is like, oh, there goes black people, there go black people, calling the race card, calling everything racist. But like, if you look at a circumstance like this and you think that this is not guided by so much fucking racist white supremacist sentiment, you gotta be blind, dude. Like, they are quite literally saying that they're quite literally saying that these educated representatives that are doing their jobs and representing their constituents are uppity and should be punished in a state body that has refused to punish pedophiles and cousin fuckers and even those who have pissed in the seats of others. All 3 of these things that I just mentioned.
Politics. We're not talking about even gun violence. How many of you would want to be spoken to that way? The reason that I believe the sponsor of this legislation, of this resolution, spoke that way is because he's comfortable doing it. Because there's a decorum that allows it. There's a decorum that allows you to belittle people. We didn't belittle nobody.
Well, I mean, let's be real. If they did, they would still be in violation of decorum. So the thing about this is consistent with a principle that I've brought up many, many times over. Like, there's no First Amendment rights in this country if you are from a marginalized background or speaking for marginalized communities. There's no Second Amendment right if you are from a marginalized background or defending marginalized communities. none of the Supreme Court constitutional protections, okay, none of the constitutional protections are for you. And this decorum conversation is identical. You are going against the grain. You're advocating for gun control. You're doing it while you're black. Okay? You're being loud. That's it. That's a violation of decorum that is unimaginable. You're done. You're expelled. That's it. If you're a Republican, on the other hand, even if you're a black Republican, but especially if you're a white Republican, on the other hand, you can get away with whatever the fuck you want. Okay? Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. Great example.